Remember that. Don't think that this one say, when you see something, a very small fire, please be careful with that. Don't even ever think that, oh, it's just a very tiny fire, it won't burn anything. It's okay. No. Just one very little bitty one can burn the whole world, can burn everything. You have to be very careful with it. And then when you see a baby snake, you think that as a baby snake is not poison. You play around with it. Don't mess with it. Baby snake also have poison. And even worse. And then when you see yourself doing something that is unwholesome, you think that, oh, this is very tiny things, it's okay. Don't even have that kind of mindset. Because when we started with the very little thing, it adds up every single day, little bit of this, a little bit of that. What will it turn out? Will be a big one. A really giant one. Because we are careless about all those things. They are toxic. They are not wholesome things. And we think that it's very tiny, it's very small, so it's okay to do it. No, it's not okay. You have to stop yourself from doing it right at that moment. So we have to be mindful, we have to have awareness of every second, every minute of our life in order for us to be free from sufferings. Otherwise, we will go back to our old days and struggle with our life again and again. And while you have to ask yourself, is your parents, your kids, your family needs you or not? They do. But they would like to have a better person, which is ourselves. Always peace, always at peace, always happy. They don't want to look at us and see us sad or stressed or depression, anything like that. They don't want to see us like that. Because every time when they see us like that, they also feel sad. They also suffer because of the energy, that energy.
Yes.
Right? Let's say in this crowd right here, if there's someone that is with hatred and anger, and then shout and yell right now, for example, then what's going to happen? That energy will spread. It makes everyone to look at that person with a different kind of mindset, point of view. What are you doing? You should get out of this area right now. That is the way of we react always, right? So I'm telling you that to let us know that the energy within us is also affecting others a lot. So we should have positive energies at all time. And of course, cannot be at all time. Always we have good days and bad days. But we have to know how to manage it. Even though it's a really worst day for us, we still have to learn how to manage it. Like this time when my brother Mung, when he got hit into the accident, I was like, okay, I have to take care of everything first. And then when everything settled, I went to a corner and I sat there and cried myself. And I cried by myself. And then after that, I let it go. I come back to normal. We can also do that. But when we come back to normal, when we associate with our family members, when we see people, we have to be normal. We have to give them positive. We have to share that positive energy with them. That is supporting. That is how you help each other out. And this world we've been living in, we separate in each other for so long. We don't care about each other. Is that right? That is why there's so many problems around. And these days, let me tell you, for me, from my experience, everywhere, every day when I walk, I was like, this is so beautiful. Strangers, when looking at us with a smile, I was like, I have never seen this before at my temple and all those roads where I drive to the market, to Home Depots and things like that to get materials. I have seen a lot of people, but their face is like, okay, don't mess with me. Something like that. Never have a smile. And even when I say hi, no response. But these days, it's so beautiful to the point where I say, this is it. This is what the world really, really needs. All strangers can look at each other and say hi and then greet and then give each other a smile. That's more than enough. What else are we expecting? And I see that there could be a lot of toxic people too, but when they see the monks, they also wanted to say hi. And then one time, when we crossed to back then, the officer said, Venerable, I was really stressed when we took you to that town, to that area, to that neighbor, because that whole area is like really bad. And we were stressed because we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm glad that you and the Venerable monks walk on this route. It's because I have seen a lot of them coming out for you all and greet you all. That is so awesome. That is so something that we really need. So I appreciate that. That is what the officer told me. And for this movement, it's not that we are the one who changed it, but it's just when we walk, it's happen to touch your heart. It's because we've been suffered. That's why when you see something like this, when you feel it, it touch your heart. That's it. But touching your heart is not enough. This is the time when you pause, when you stop from doing all the things that you have been doing, which is a great thing already. To look back within, that is a great thing. But for us to move forward, we have to bring that into action, to practice. By breathing every single second when you breathe in without, please add awareness to it. Instead of breathe just to live, to survive. Pay attention to this nostril area, and then when you breathe in, aware of that breath going in. Breathe out, aware of that breath going out. Pay fully attention to that breathing. We have not done that before. This is the time. Just focus, pay attention, aware of that breath going in and out. Live with that, because that is your life. Without this, we will die. You have to value it. You have to appreciate your breath. Because there will be time that you have to fight for each and every breath, which is your last moment. Don't waste it anymore. If we are not mindful and right now, you cannot be mindful when you fight with your last breath. That is when our mind is super weak. Really, really weak. We don't know what's going on. We're scared. We're afraid of death. And this is the moment, this is time where we practice ourselves to prepare for that moment. I admitted myself to the hospital, ER. At 2 a.m., I drove myself to the ER. 2 weeks before the international event that I hosted in Fort Worth, Texas. And everybody freaked out because I'm behind it and I'm the one who knows everything and doing almost a lot of things.
Hello.
And then, when I went to the ER, the doctor put tubings into my nose and my mouth. This is the first time ever that I experienced this. While I have seen many of my family members, my mom, my brothers, and a lot of people who I went there to do the chanting, blessing. I've seen a lot. But I don't know how it feels. Is it comfortable? I know it probably is not comfortable, but it's just my thought. And until that time, I realized that it's super uncomfortable. It's the worst. You can't swallow. You can't drink. Suffering. And that is when the time that I thought about, this is just minor thing. What about if I am running into a critical condition, a major thing? How I'm gonna react? We have to ask ourselves that question too. How are we going to react when we are in that condition? Are we prepared? We are not. Lucky enough that I know how to do the breathing. That I just lying there, focus on my breathing, even though it's uncomfortable, but the difference is we know how to manage that feelings, right? If we don't know how to manage those feelings, we suffer. We suffer. So this is the time for us to practice, to prepare ourselves for that moment of our life. All of us will go there. If you don't have a tube in your mouth or in your nose, you would have to suffer with each and every breath regardless. We have to fight for it. So pay attention to our breathing. Breathe in, aware of that breath going in. Breathe out, aware of that breath going out. Pay fully attention to this. Just like the gatekeeper sitting right here, knowing somebody going, who go in and who's go out. That's all we need to do. And then the thought arises. We have all kind of thoughts. All of us have thoughts. When thought arises, instead of angry, instead of trying to eliminate it, try to push it away. Just acknowledge it. Aware of that thought. Observe that thought. We can say it silently within our head, thought, 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 because we have thought. Come back to the breathing again. And then breathe in, another thought pop up. Acknowledge it. Come back here. Come back, come back, come back here. The breathing method. When you hear noise, when you hear sound, any type of noise, any type of sound, acknowledge it, come back here. Any type of sensation on this body, acknowledge it, feeling, come back here. That's all we need to do. And every day, again, do one thing at a time. Every little thing in our life, please, one thing at a time. Not multitask anymore. When you drive, who's in here that drive and watch a movie at the same time? How about drive and live stream? What about drive and FaceTime? Don't be shy. We have that. We've been there. That is not mindful. When mindful means that you have to be on the road. Pay fully attention to the driving. Is that right?
Yes.
We need to change that. When you eat, no more music, no more talking, no more video. Just eat. But one of the things that one of the senior men told me, I thought it's funny. When I ask everybody, would you please stay silent? And then people still talking and talking. And the gentleman told me, Venerable, when you ask that question, you know that is the hardest thing for American, right? To stay silent. And somewhat is true. You know why? Because many times when I ask for silence, when I talk like this, of course we have silent moment. But when we go eat like that, when I say, let's us practice noble silence, and everybody just stay silent for 3 seconds, and then talk again. So we need to have a strong determination for ourselves that we need to focus on one thing instead of eat and talk. You talk is okay, there's nothing wrong with talking. But are we mindful when we talk and eat? That's the difference. When you want to make noise, you can make noise as long as you're mindful with it. When you need to stay silent, you can stay silent, but be mindful with it. Okay? We practice ourselves like that every day. One thing at a time, do not multitask anymore. And then, when we go to sleep, when we wake up, sleeping is very important for all of us, right? How many hours that we need?
8.
That's false. 5,
7.
4, 7, 6?
Depends.
6 to 8. So we have all kind of different point of view, different mindset here. You know how many hours I sleep?
4.
Roughly about 3 to 4. I don't sleep a lot, but I still have energy to talk and walk. You know why? Mindfulness. Because when we focus on our breathing, that generates energy for us. Believe it or not. When a lot of people ask me, why you sleep less, but then your face you always have full of energy? I say, I don't know. I just practice like that. I really don't know. Seriously, I don't know. Maybe it's my merit. I don't know. But I know one thing, that when we practice, when we mindful on our breathing, that cultivates, that generates energy for us. For sure. That is the power of mindfulness, breathing. So, if we sleep a lot, we're going to have problem too on practicing. Who's in here that wake up and still wanted to go back to bed? A lot of us? Wow. This is something that is very difficult to fix. Then how can we get up in the morning when the alarm goes off? Determination, 5-second rules, or we snooze and go back to sleep. Courage. Well, the 5-second that I already share, right? When you don't want to get up, when the alarms goes off, we still wanted to go back to sleep. Please give yourself only 5 seconds to survive. Only 5 seconds. It's because within 1 second breathing in without breathing out, we die already. Okay? So if we give ourselves 5 seconds, that is a lot already. That is a lot. So whenever the alarms goes off and we still want to lie in there and sleep, please give yourself 5 seconds to live by counting backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get up. Don't jump, because when you jump, you're gonna break your leg. Get up from that bed right away, because you have more meaningful things to do. When you keep lying there, that bed will grow arms and legs, grab you down for hours. During the day, if you feel tired, give yourself a power nap. This is also very important. I practice this already, I know. Even though when you practice meditation, sometimes when you're exhausted, you fall asleep. But then when you give yourself a 20 to 25 minutes of power nap, then you will have full of energy to move on again. Only 20 to 25 minutes of nap. How can you do that?
It begins with a spark, a flicker so infinitesimal that it seems harmless, almost innocent. In the rush of our modern lives, we often walk past these small fires without a second glance. We tell ourselves that a minor irritation, a fleeting moment of jealousy, or a small act of carelessness is of no consequence. It is just a tiny ember. We think, surely, it will burn itself out. But wisdom teaches us to look closer. As Venerable Bhikkhu Panikkara, the spiritual leader of the Walk for Peace pilgrimage, reminds us, we must never underestimate the power of the small. A single spark, left unattended, possesses the potential to consume a forest, to burn down everything we have built. It is the same with the baby snake we might find in the grass. It looks small, perhaps even cute to the naive eye, and we might be tempted to play with it, thinking it lacks the potency to harm us. Yet, the venom is there, concentrated and deadly. This metaphor serves as a profound wake-up call for our internal lives. We tend to dismiss our small, unwholesome thoughts, the microaggressions, the white lies, the moments of checked-out indifference, thinking they are manageable. We believe we can harbor a little bit of toxicity and still be fine. But these things accumulate. A drop of poison day by day eventually permeates the entire bloodstream of the soul. If we are not vigilant, if we do not stop ourselves in the very moment the thought arises, we drift back into old patterns of suffering. Mindfulness is not just about relaxation, it is a discipline of vigilance. It is the art of catching the spark before it becomes a wildfire, of recognizing the snake before it strikes. We must cultivate an awareness that is alive to every second, for it is in the microscopic moments that the macroscopic trajectory of our life is decided. If we ignore the small, we eventually face the giant, and by then, it is often too late to simply wish it away. This vigilance is not a solitary endeavor, undertaken only for our own spiritual resume. It is an act of love for those closest to us. We often labor under the illusion that our internal weather is private, that we can be stressed, depressed, or angry inside while maintaining a functional facade for our families. But energy is porous, it leaks through our skin and permeates the air of our homes. Ask yourself, does your family need you? Of course, they do, but they do not just need your physical presence or your financial support, they need the best version of you. They crave a version of you that is at peace, happy, and grounded. When our parents, our partners, or our children look at us and see stress etched into our brows or sense the heavy cloud of depression hanging over us, they suffer too. They absorb that frequency. We are, in essence, transmitters of energy. If we walk into a room carrying the heavy baggage of hatred or anger, even if we do not speak a word, that energy spreads like a contagion. It forces everyone around us to shift into a defensive posture, to look at us with wariness rather than welcome. Conversely, when we learn to manage our bad days, and we will all have bad days, we offer a gift of stability to our loved ones. Even when life delivers a blow, such as the news of a loved one's accident or a personal failure, we have a responsibility to process it, to go to the corner and cry, if we must. But then to let it go and return to the center. To bring positive energy back to the dinner table is a profound act of service. It is how we support one another, not just through words, but through the atmospheric quality of our being. We have been separated from one another for so long, isolated in our silos of self-concern, that we have forgotten that our vibration touches everyone we meet. This invisible web of connection extends far beyond the walls of our homes, spilling out onto the streets, into the grocery stores, and across the towns we traverse. The world is starving for connection, yet we often move through it with our shields up. We are used to faces that say, "Don't mess with me," faces hardened by the grind of survival and the fear of the stranger. But when we change our internal frequency, the world often changes its reflection. There is a profound beauty in the simple act of a stranger smiling at a stranger. It sounds almost trivial, yet in a society fractured by division, it is revolutionary. Consider the experience of walking through a neighborhood that the authorities have deemed bad or dangerous. Police officers might warn of hostility, stressing over the safety of anyone who dares to tread there. Yet, when a heart is open and defenseless, radiating genuine peace, even the hardest environments can soften. People come out of their homes not to attack, but to greet, to connect, to bask in a rare moment of non-judgmental presence. It confirms a deep truth. We are all hungry for the same things. We all want to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be met with a gaze that is not assessing a threat but offering a blessing. Touching the heart of humanity is not about grand political gestures. It is about the Home Depot moments, the interactions in the aisles of our errands where we choose to make eye contact and smile. When we drop the armor, we find that the world is often less scary than we were told, and far more ready for peace than we imagined. However, feeling this connection and having our hearts touched by the poignant beauty of human goodness is only the beginning. It is the inspiration, but not the work itself. To truly sustain this openness, to keep the fire of anger from consuming us and to maintain a positive charge for our families and communities, we need a concrete tool. We cannot just will ourselves to be peaceful, we must practice it. Breath by breath. This brings us to the gatekeeper, the ancient and accessible practice of conscious breathing. It is simple, yet we complicate it. We breathe to survive, to keep the biological machine running. But rarely do we breathe to live. The instruction is deceptively straightforward. Bring your attention to the nostril area. When you breathe in, know that you are breathing in. When you breathe out, know that you are breathing out. Become the gatekeeper who stands at the door of the nose, noting every visitor that passes through. This practice is the anchor in the storm of the mind. Thoughts will arise, thousands of them. We have a tendency to fight our thoughts, to get angry that we are distracted, to try to push the noise away with force. But force only creates more tension. Instead, the practice invites us to simply acknowledge the distraction. Thought, we might say silently, naming it without judgment, and then gently escorting our attention back to the breath. Feeling. We note when a sensation arises, and then we return to the anchor. It is a gentle returning, over and over again. This is not a retreat from reality, but a way to value the very essence of life. Without this breath, we cease to exist. To ignore it is to ignore life itself. We must learn to cherish this rhythm now, when we are healthy and capable, because a time is coming when the breath will not be easy, when it will be a struggle that demands every ounce of our focus. We practice not for the sunny days, but for the inevitable winters of our existence. There is a sobering reality that we often avoid. The body is fragile, and it will eventually fail. We will all face moments where we must fight for every single inhalation. If we are not mindful now, in the comfort of our daily lives, how can we possibly expect to be mindful when we are in the emergency room? When the body is screaming in pain and the mind is gripped by the terror of death? The illusion of invincibility is shattered in the ER. Imagine the sensation of medical tubes being inserted into your nose and mouth. It is a visceral, invasive discomfort. You cannot swallow. You cannot drink. You feel like you are choking on your own survival. It is suffering in its rawest physical form. In that moment, the mind wants to panic. It wants to revolt against the pain. If we have never trained the mind, we will be swept away by fear and agony. But if we have spent years practicing the art of returning to the breath, we have a lifeline, even with tubes in our throat. Even in the midst of the worst discomfort, we can find the breath. We can manage the feeling. We can say, "This is suffering, but I am breathing." This preparation is the ultimate self-care. It is asking ourselves the hard question: are we prepared for our own vulnerability? Most of the time, the answer is no. We assume we will have time to figure it out later. But the crisis arrives on its own schedule, often at 2 a.m., without warning. To practice mindfulness is to prepare for the final exam of life, ensuring that when we face the ultimate transition, we do so with a mind that is strong, not weak, clear, not confused. This intense preparation for the end of life paradoxically requires us to change how we handle the mundane middle of life. We lose our focus not in big explosions, but in the constant fragmentation of our attention. We have become a culture of multitaskers, wearing our distraction like a badge of honor. We drive while live streaming, eat while scrolling, and talk while watching TV. We are never fully here because we are always partially there. This fracturing of attention weakens the mind. It trains us to be scattered, making it impossible to summon the concentration needed for deep peace or for facing deep pain. The antidote is the discipline of one thing at a time. When you drive, just drive. Feel the wheel, see the road, be the driver. When you eat, just eat. Turn off the music, put down the phone, and taste the food. It sounds like a restriction, but it is actually a liberation. It frees us from the exhausting noise of the monkey mind. This is particularly difficult for those of us raised in Western cultures, where silence is often interpreted as awkwardness or emptiness. We struggle with noble silence. We ask for quiet, and 3 seconds later, someone fills the void with chatter. We are afraid of the space where the self meets the self. But we must build a strong determination to reclaim this space. We can talk, and we can make noise, but we must do it with mindfulness. If we are talking, we should be fully engaged in the talking, not talking while thinking about the next email. If we are silent, we should be fully inhabited by the silence. By doing one thing at a time, we knit the raveled sleeve of our consciousness back together, creating a mind that is capable of deep rest and deep power. Finally, this journey of mindfulness brings us to the source of our vitality. We often obsess over numbers. How many hours of sleep did we get? 6, 8, 10? We believe that energy comes solely from the duration of our unconsciousness. Yet, there are those who sleep very little, perhaps 3 or 4 hours, and yet radiate a boundless, wakeful energy. How is this possible? It is because mindfulness itself is a generator. When we focus on the breath, when we stop leaking energy through stress, anger, and multitasking, we cultivate a reservoir of power within. The breath feeds us. But accessing this energy requires willpower, specifically in the hardest moment of the day, the waking. The alarm goes off, and the bed feels like a magnet. The comfort is seductive. We want to snooze, to drift back into the fog. The bed seems to grow arms and legs, holding us down, begging us to stay. This is the first battle of the day. If we lose it, we start our day in defeat. We need a weapon, a strategy for courage. The 5-second rule is that weapon. You give yourself 5 seconds to survive the impulse to quit. You count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you move. You don't jump. That's a shock to the system, but you rise. You get up because you have decided that being alive is more interesting than being asleep. You get up because there are meaningful things to do, love to give, and a life to be lived. In the end, peace is not a concept we study, it is a life we live. Second by 5-second interval. From the moment we conquer the gravity of the bed, to the conscious breath we take in traffic, to the smile we offer a stranger, to the preparation for our final exhale, it is all one seamless garment of practice. We are building a sanctuary inside ourselves that no external fire can burn down. We are learning to love life so deeply that we refuse to miss a single moment of it in distraction. So, let us not play with the baby snake of carelessness. Let us not underestimate the fire. Let us breathe, fully and deeply, appreciating the fragile, beautiful, and temporary gift of being here, right now,